Get to your ship. Get to your ship.
Can't do shit.
Get to your ship.
G'day guys and welcome to Raging Rhino. Now, while it is time for episode 3 of Skeleton Crew, there's a couple of things that I just really quickly want to touch on. I've had a bit of time to think about the first 2 episodes that I watched, and I've also had a bit of time to see how people are actually talking about this show out there. Now, I just want to say, just because this show has kids in it, and just because the humor and everything that we're seeing in this show is quite childish, and definitely for an age younger than I thought that they were going to make it for. Like it's like single figure toddler kind of show. But just because it does have those things doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve the same sort of criticism of certain elements. And the main reason for that is because it is in the Star Wars universe. If you were to take this show out of the Star Wars galaxy, it would be fine. It's fine as just like a kid's adventure show, right? The Goonies in space. But like, just as an example, like I do have a couple of questions in regards to the first episode, like the ship that landed there. Why? How did it get there? What is it doing there? In regards to the droid not being able to get them back, why couldn't they search the memory banks of where the ship crashed? You know, there's certain things that and hope maybe they might answer those questions. But based on the track record of Disney Star Wars, they don't bother answering those questions because none of the actual fans out there actually care. You know, they don't actually go out there and ask those questions of like, okay, so what is that thing? Yeah, they might eventually get to it. And if they do get to it, they might start coming up with some theories. But at the end of the day, the canon and the lore is created by the people creating the show. And this is Disney canon, right? So again, like I said, you take this show out of the Star Wars galaxy and I guess it's fine. But when it is in the Star Wars galaxy, like, to me, we've just got to look at it through the same lens and we got to look at it and talk about those things. This is Disney Star Wars canon. It's not like this is something like Visions where it's completely separate and they've actually announced that this isn't a part of the canon. No, this is canon. So we've got to look at it as a Star Wars thing. And as a Star Wars thing, it's actually pretty poor. It's not good. But that's just typical Disney Star Wars, isn't it? Anyway, let's get into this episode. Episode 3, it looks like it's about 40 minutes long. I dare say that's like 32 minutes, something like that, without the credits. But let's get straight into this episode. If you are new here, you get to see my reactions as I go through the episode, and then you get to see my review and my thoughts at the very end. Let's do it. Just one quick thing before we do get straight into this episode. It's kind of the same situation with Andor, I've got to say. Like, yeah, okay, there's some decent writing in there and it's done fine. But in the Star Wars galaxy, it doesn't fit, right? And it certainly doesn't fit with EU lore. But it's not even that. It's the jangling keys and everything else. We talk about the jangling keys in things like Ahsoka or things like Obi-Wan Kenobi or Book of Boba Fett. All those elements, all those things that we talk about that, you know, they constantly just throw on the screen. Like it's self-referencing, right? But none of that gets brought up in the criticisms of Andor. And it feels the same with this show.
Is this not so?
Whoa.
Oh, and another thing that I do want to point out, just because it came up with the credits thing, the Old Republic credits, like, yeah, okay, they're referencing the Old Republic. Do you know how dangerous this is, Disney, you know, dabbling in Old Republic lore now? Like, that's pretty dangerous territory for this company that's done this much damage to this franchise to be going into Old Republic stuff.
At Aden holds some sort of eternal treasure.
Fear not.
At Aden holds some sort of eternal treasure. This is their home.
Get to your ship.
It sounded like you said can't do shit. Didn't it?
Get to your ship. Get to your ship. Get to your ship.
Can't do shit. Oh, young Anakin was thrown in there. And the droid from the show. This is the other thing too, it's so piratey and rah, and there you go, let's go on an adventure, kids. Back on at Aden. I've also found like the elephant simping stuff and everything from the Disney shills out there really creepy and weird. Like that's been real strange to see. There's been some weird comments out there, man. This is the new fan base that Disney Star Wars has culminated into, is like shippers, weirdos, creeps, LGBTQ, pronoun. That's what it is. That's all it is. Oh man. I heard a comment today about, oh, I'm hoping that by the end of the show, Wham, or whatever his name is, the young kid, the lead kid, you could say, boy, and the lead girl, I can't remember her name. It starts with an F. But that they end up like crushing on each other. And that's like where people hope these stories go. Not like what could they be possibly trying to be telling us in regards to the Old Republic, which again is dangerous territory. Not like how did the ship crash on this planet? Like what was it even doing there in the first place? And when did it crash there? How long ago? How long have these people been living here for under the regime of these droids? Is there an ultimate leader that's controlling everything? Like, nobody's asking any questions like that. All they want to see is like, oh, look how cute that is. Oh, look, I know what it is. Oh, a reference. Oh, it really felt like the beginning of A New Hope, being that that's a good thing. Then there's problems, plot holes, problems with the, when the tube blows up, there should be an issue there in regards to, the vacuum of space. But, it's a kid's show. Let's not criticize those actual things in a Star Wars thing where we criticize those things constantly. But it's because it's for kids. Oh, because kids are dumb. Is that what you're saying?
Is the supervisor going to contact the Republic for help?
Because the starship is outside the barrier, the supervisor is unable to risk any contact.
Damn, the risk.
Oh, hang on. See, there's a question. So he just referenced, is the leader going to contact the New Republic? So they do have contact to the outside world. But what, they're isolated? They're not allowed to leave the barrier? Like, there's things here that aren't adding up. There's things here that aren't really making too much sense.
I'm submitting a petition for an immediate audience with the supervisor.
Okay. So Cyclops has the two mothers. The Cyclops kid. Okay, so they've gone outside the barrier. They're not allowed to come back. See, that's the thing. Like, have you contacted the New Republic? So the New Republic knows about this place, these treasures, but these pirates just think that it's an actual myth. Okay? Once you go outside the barrier, you cannot return through the barrier. Well, that was just the prologue. Jesus. There's one thing that I'll give this, and that is that the shot design and everything, it's creative and it is good. And there is a bit of a Star Wars-y kind of feel to it. When you throw these characters and this story into that, it loses it all. There's some decent shots, backgrounds, making the world building bigger. Oh man, I know I keep pausing it, but the other thing that I do want to say is the Jude Law thing. The guy in the mask, I said that it sounded like Idris Elba, or Idris Elba, however you say his name. I can never really pronounce it properly. But yeah, to me it sounded like Idris Elba, but then like you listen to it and they've kind of got a very similar accent. So it might very well be the Jude Law character and it's just like another twin story where you get like, I don't know, a good guy and a bad guy, so to speak. They were both pirates or leading a pirate ship. Something. I don't know.
The Force flows through us all.
Oh, he said the thing. He said the thing. Wouldn't you think they'd want to stick a bit closer to him?
You're a Jedi, right?
Oh, she's getting insufferable. Insufferable. But she's going to be right about her assumption of him.
Floated. There's a million ways to make it look like something is floating. Name one. Repulsor lift, tractor beam, magnets, mirrors. String.
It's funny that that's what she says because they actually did use string to make the key move.
how do you make a key float across a room? And it was on the end of a long wire with a hook on the end, and someone sort of glided it into my hand, and the rest was all imagination.
String.
What, their shitty little trash ship is moving all of these ships.
But isn't it dangerous to go to hyperspace if we're tied to something?
Well, at least they didn't just hit it with a hammer.
That shot.
They better not make him a Grey Jedi. Because a Grey Jedi isn't a thing. What was that? Oh, everyone's going to say that little snore was so cute from the elephant. Neil. They're just going all over the galaxy on this massive adventure. Hey, oi, that's one thing that I actually will say. They actually showed some time going by. They mentioned that it'll be there in a couple of hours. They were already, getting some sleep, so they'd already been traveling for a little while. My God, have they actually learned something from all the criticism of all the bullshit? I doubt it. It's just somebody's been listening, or somebody knows what they're actually trying to do when they're actually at least doing space travel in Star Wars. The next show, it'll be just back to the same thing. Ahsoka style. Acolyte style as well. Boba Fett style and Mando style too, actually. Let's just say Disney Star Wars style. She's wondering why he's being so honest with them. And whether or not he's actually just doing that to gain their trust.
Should we get down to business?
Quiet, Jack.
It's an owl.
Children, what in the depths are you doing with him?
It's a talking owl. The only time we have ever seen something like an owl in Star Wars is the thing that follows fucking Ahsoka around. What is this?
Wait, Kim?
It's an owl. A bookworm owl.
You see, your home has been purposely hidden from the rest of the galaxy. There is no map to AT-AT. Rules of the
So if it's completely isolated from the outside world, which this owl just told us, then why would that dude say, have you contacted the New Republic? And how does the kid know about Jedi and stuff like that? How do they all know about Jedi, for that matter? There's so many questions now. This just opens up a whole can of worms. In this case, a can of owls.
Alderaan. It's the war, did you?
What war?
Fascinating.
So they don't even know about the war. So, okay, so this is the thing. If they've got Old Republic credits, that means that this place has been isolated from the entire galaxy for 3,000 years, 4,000 years. Generations just going through, never leaving this planet. Obviously, the planet must have its own resources to be able to feed a population and keep them going for as long as they have without any form of trade or anything like that. Interesting concept. Questions that need answering, eh? They're definitely filling the mystery box. What was that?
That's why the planets remain hidden.
Does this narrow it down?
He's being beaten up by an owl. How is that a fight? She wants to know why not to trust him.
I'll be fine. And if you ever need help, you can call me anytime.
The owl. I call bullshit once again because they parked the ship so far away so that they could hide the ship. They even mentioned it on their little walk over to this place. And just as they need to leave, The ship is literally outside the place that they were in. She's run out the door. They go over this little hill. The ship is there. I'd like to remind you, just really quickly,
Let's go.
from the ship,
Stay here and you'll never get home.
just how far they traveled.
You need the exercise.
He's trying to hide the ship.
Listen.
What? If nobody asks that question, how does that work? How does that work? How does that possibly work? You know how they'll justify it? I already know how they're going to justify it. Oh, the droid knew what to do. See how the droid's standing at the top of the thing here? Where is it?
Come on.
Yeah, the droid's standing at the top of the ramp. Oh, the droid knew. Bullshit. When did they radio call in for assistance from their pirate droid to come in and bring the ship? And he didn't just bring the ship and hover it or anything. It is completely landed and turned off and everything. What a load. This is what I'm talking about. If people can't actually criticize that because it's a complete and blatant like eyesore in the entire continuity, let's say, of just this isolated episode, and it's because the reason why you can't criticize it is because it's got kids in it or because it's made for kids, is ridiculous. Take it out of Star Wars then. It does not belong. Oh, he turns on his little torch. The music. Robusted ship. It flies pretty well. Goes into hyperspace pretty well. And they're home, right? Please tell me one of them was Dave Filoni. Please.
What are you doing?
Or
Get away!
Miyagi.
With the kids.
That's the end of the episode. Okay. It's basically the same thing. It's the same thing. They just basically, they broke out. We know that the planet that they're living on is communist and completely isolated from the outside world. So we have learned that. So it makes you wonder how long, like they've layered this mystery box of this planet. And this is the thing about creating lore around planets. It's like Tatooine did it really well. It did it gradually in bits. And that's obviously because Tatooine grew with how Star Wars grew. It's the first planet that we go to, all of that sort of thing. So I find that it's probably hard to try and throw so much lore at what this planet's supposed to be and why these kids know what they know and don't know what they know and everything that's going on. It's kind of hard to build that in an instant. But they're attempting it. And I don't really know how good of a job they're doing. I don't really care, to be honest. They break out of the prison. They go back. He goes back to get the droid. The droid wakes up. Captain Jack Sparrow. I don't know. It's just, and then they go visit the owl on the moon, and she's stalling, and she calls the X-wing, so she calls the New Republic, and they just want to get home to Ad-Aden. They try and convince the truth out of him. They get the truth out of him. So he reveals that he never really said that he was a Jedi. And he reveals that he's just like them and he's completely lost and he's got no one. That's his story at this point in time. But obviously there is still more to it. There is clearly more to it, especially with all the pirates and everything. They quote unquote employ him, but he is obviously in these tense situations. He is clearly calling the shots, gets all the kids to do something, gets them shooting. They hit one of the X-Wings on the way out. Then they drop in and it's all revolves around this Ad-Aden place and trying to get back to Ad-Aden. And the word about this place of Ad-Aden is going to get around. You know, it's going to now go through the New Republic because this owl thing is now going to tell this X-Wing pilot where they've gone. And she'll be able to eventually work out again. If she can repair her little computer, she'll be able to work it out straight away again. Wouldn't she be able to get the data from the computer still, even though he took it and shot the screen? I don't know. But anyway, I don't really care. It's the same thing as what I was saying at the beginning. You take this thing out of the Star Wars galaxy, and I guess it's fine for kids, like 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. And when you do enter it into the Star Wars galaxy, and man, wait for it. I heard that there was somebody talking about how they think that Adden is the place where Palpatine gets cloned. Wow. We are stretching it shit now. Anyway, I don't really know what else to say. It was just another bland, boring kiddie adventure. Let's go to the next planet episode. And now they've got the coordinates. They've gone into hyperspace that's supposed to get them back to their home planet. But what's the bet? They're going to end up having an issue where the hyperdrive breaks and shoots them off into a direction where they're miles away now from home, and it's going to take them even longer to get back or something like that. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, what you thought of the episode. What are you thinking about Skeleton Crew so far? If you are obviously watching it, even if you were just watching reviews of it, let me know your thoughts on what you've been hearing in the comments. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next week for episode 4. Oh, man. It's going to go all the way through Christmas. It's going to make it torturous. Later, guys.